So now transferring onto me now. Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. So the reason why I chose today's topic is because I think it's rarely talked about. So probably you on your journey to certify as a coach, you probably came across some people doing unethical things or saying things and doing something else. And so this is quite damaging in relationships, like if your fellow coaches are doing things like that. So I think because we are a very safe environment, yet coaching remains a largely under regulated tradition or field. Um, some people take advantage of that. So today I'm here to advocate why ethical practice, which is also one of the competencies, happens at the very top of the list of the ICF competencies, why it's so important business-wise, okay? So I'm going to softly introduce the topic. Probably we might have more students, more participants joining. Sorry about that, because I teach online. All right, so let's begin. There. Can you all see my screen? Yeah, awesome. All right, this thing keeps popping up. Okay, that's better. All right. So, ethical practice for business success. Does anyone think about this usually when they're planning to become a coach, or when they're deciding to meet up with other coaches, or when you go to attend an event? Probably you're watching other people coach, or you're watching the way they promote for their businesses. And so all that tells a lot about your character as a coach. So some people think just because, I have the credential, the level 1, level 2, ACC, PCC, MCC, I'm guarded. This is not true. Okay. So whatever you do, people are always watching. And if they don't like what they're seeing, then it's going to affect your reputation. So our agenda today is introducing this topic, why ethics and ethical practice contribute to a solid and positive and sustainable reputation, and also predicts future success. So we're going to introduce this topic, of course, and then we're going to talk about ethical practice in the context of coaching. And then we're going to, touch upon the ICF Code of Ethics. And then we're going to indulge talking about the business advantages of ethical standards. And then I'm going to open the chance for everyone to ask questions towards the end. All right. So this is a former Supreme Court associate. So he says, I don't know if you guys can see it because I'm having the names. All right, maybe that's better. Can you see my screen better now? Because yeah, the way it looks.
That's good.
Yeah, because the pictures were blocking the
Oh,
slide
no. For us,
me.
it's fine.
Awesome. All right. So, Potter Stewart, what does he say? Ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what is right to do. So you don't need someone to constantly supervise you and tell you what to do, or if you're doing something unethical, you don't need someone to um, catch you up red-handed, or to keep tabs on you, or, we're all adults. And when we certify, we're supposed to be professional enough to uphold ethical standards. All right. So some people don't do that, but other people do. And so what I loved about this quote is that you choose to do what is right, even if no one is looking. So coaching and the ICF well, actually, the ICF holds coaches accountable to the ICF Code of Ethics. And so this means that we should always choose to do what is ethical and not just surrender, to whatever sells or what makes us popular, etc. So what is the importance of ethical practice? So what's most important for us today is to focus on the fact that the importance of ethical practice is not about compliance. It's not about you complying with a set of rules or, regulations or policies. However, it's fundamental to building trust and ensuring the effectiveness and credibility of your coaching practice altogether. When you're ethical, you forge this clean picture of yourself, and this sustains your positive reputation effortlessly. And then it starts helping you generate leads instead of just hard selling and spending money on ads and all that. Ethical practice really goes a long way like that. So the most important thing is not to think that, oh, it's just a thing that I need to follow or do. No, you need to always come across as someone unethical, someone who holds the client's best interest at heart, someone who chooses to do the right thing in the wrong situation. So when things happen and there are challenges, you choose to consult your ethics and the ICF Code of Ethics as well, and you follow that. So you don't just, act upon your reactions or what you personally do. You have to remember that you're a professional and you are your own business card. So whatever comes out of you is going to tarnish that image. So it's very important to pay attention to that. What's key in building trust with your clients is maintaining an ethical practice. So this guarantees smoother interactions and chemistry. So your clients are going to feel open around you. So you don't need to make an effort. You don't need to sound this way or that, or do this, impress the client with a set of things that you do, like the sorcerer's pouch. You don't need to have those things. If you are ethical, your positive reputation is going to speak for itself. Your clients are going to trust the space that you hold for them, and they're going to trust their relationships with you. So they open up, and then coaching is smooth. So to that extent, ethical practice is pivotal. It's like the spine of your business success. You want to think about it this way. It's the anchor, the main anchor that you build your reputation and your profession upon. Also, ethical practice is crucial for building a sustainably positive reputation for you as a professional coach. So if, say, for example, if you gossip about your clients, you go somewhere and you gossip about them, and then, the word spreads, and then your client gets to know that you were gossiping about them, how would that make them feel, right? So in order for you to always create an image of a professional coach, you always need to abide by ethical practice. So I'm going to stop sharing just to take a minute to welcome those who have just joined us. And I want to ask you guys, have you come across people who, or coaches who were committing unethical behaviors or scenarios around you? You don't need to mention names, but you can describe those scenarios.
Well, I have a story to share.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the important things, like the importance of spreading awareness about being as a part of an ICF organization so you can be held up accountable. There was a phone call that we received, a complaint about one of the coaches here, but unfortunately, because they have not been ICF, we couldn't do anything to help that person. And it was about ethical conduct. It was about crossing the boundary between what is the coaching relationship and what is, you know, because we all learn as coaches that we need to have that boundaries, not hug, not stepping like we're not their friends. We are here, we're their coaches, we're their mentors, we're there here to help them, but we need to set these boundaries. And if you're not trained well, these can easily to be crossed. And yeah, so we couldn't help this person, unfortunately, but I think that's what the importance of spreading the awareness that if you want to seek out a coach that has an organization behind them, so that if
Absolutely.
something happens, you can go somewhere, complain at least.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Absolutely. How about coaches who say lots of things about themselves that they can't guarantee? Like, for example, you see in those ads, um, reduce your stress levels, solve your marital problems, um, double your income. How does that sound to you? Can anyone guarantee that? So what does that do to your business reputation?
For sure now, no.
Right? So we're just, anyone can say anything about themselves.
Yeah.
But what makes you stand apart from those who do that is you abiding by ethics and ethical practice. And this is why the ICF is very strict when it comes to ethical standards. And so only a professional person would observe ethical standards in whatever they do, including the way they promote for themselves. So we never guarantee anything as coaches simply because we don't do the work for our clients. It's our clients that have to do the work for themselves. And so if you start saying, attract the love of your life, or something like that. So I go around and I hear lots of coaches saying so many things about themselves. I just want to tell you that, the market is not dumb and the people are not dumb either. And so, and the world markets are, have become much more experienced with the concept of coaching. So when I started 13 years ago, there was little understanding of the difference between training and coaching. But now people understand what coaching is and that you're not supposed to guarantee anything for your clients. Otherwise, anyone can say anything about themselves and sell and then what? You make a sale, but then would this organization or company or entity hire you again? Probably not. So there are those who attract first-time opportunities, and then they go on spreading a negative reputation about themselves. So this is absolutely important. If you want to be an ambassador of the ICF and also an ambassador of the industry of coaching, you want to care to come across as someone who's ethical. Someone doesn't gossip about the clients or other coaches, or someone who does hard sale or get tries to promote guarantees that never exist and could never happen. We can never guarantee anything. So these are some of the malpractices that I've observed as well, as Nancy's story that she shared with us. So let's get back to the slideshow. All right. So what is ethical practice in coaching? So most of the information that I have in the slides comes from the ICF website. However, I've rephrased it, to shorten the context a little bit and to get the gist out of the useful information that we have there in their website. So ethical practice is choosing. So the first word that I included is choosing to abide by accepted professional standards that ensure integrity, honesty, and respect. And these are great sources of abundance and prosperity and positive reputation. So you should never underestimate those ethics, the value of those ethics in your professional practice. So it just helps you establish relationships with your clients, colleagues, and the larger coaching community that are based on transparency and mutual respect and trust, of course. All right. So this is the link to the ICF Code of Ethics. So I just put it there. I'm pretty sure all of you know about it. But I'm going to present a very brief overview in order for us to jump into the workshopping of different scenarios, different dilemmas, and let's see how to solve those. So very quickly, for those of you who are new probably to coaching, the ICF Code of Ethics describes the core values of the International Coaching Federation. And so they direct us to ethical principles and ethical standards of behavior for all ICF professionals. So this does not mean that if you're level 1, you follow certain standards. If you're level 3, you follow other standards. No, ethics are ethics, and they're the same for everybody, and everyone is required to observe them in their coaching practice. Also, as I mentioned earlier, ethics is mentioned at the very top of the ICF code of, the ICF competencies list. So this shows how when you establish your coaching practice and interactions with your clients, you are creating a solid foundation with them. And so this is why it happens at the very top of the ICF competencies list. Also, it serves as a framework for professional behavior and helps coaches handle ethical dilemmas they might face in the coaching practice. We are bound to experience dilemmas. They happen to everyone. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. They happen to everybody. And so very quickly, the ICF Code of Ethics points at some points there. So the first point is our responsibility toward our clients. The importance of informed consent is an example on that. Ensuring confidentiality, not gossiping about your clients to other people, and explaining limits as well. Handling conflicts of interest transparently. So we're going to talk about conflict of interest a little bit later. Also, there's the responsibility toward practice and performance. So what this means is our commitment to continuous professional development. So if you want to come across as someone ethical, you want to be self-committed to excellence, to self-development. You don't just take a course or two and you stop there. Rather, you keep growing. Just like the ICF keeps growing, we grow too, along with the larger ICF community around the world. Also, recognition and management of personal limitations. So sometimes you can't accept certain cases. You should not pressure yourself. You should not accept your clients just because you need the money, for example. So if you don't feel comfortable, you don't accept the client. So you can let them know about that in a very tactful way. You don't even need to mention the reason. But if they press you, you can come up with something. But you have to always apologize in a very tactful manner. But you have the full right to just, not accept, a business offer that does not make you feel comfortable, or it requires a lot of work, and this lies outside of your personal limitations. So you have to know what you're capable of doing. Also, there's the importance of seeking professional guidance when needed. So I think it was Jeff Bezos, if I'm not mistaken. So someone from Google, someone senior from Google said, every coach needs a coach. I used to have that on my website a long time ago. That's because sometimes you feel so overwhelmed. So you do need to talk to someone else who can help you, who can coach you. So Lawrence Stern here says, respect for ourselves guides our morals. Respect for others guides our manners, right? So ethics go a long way. They really influence not only how you come across as a professional, but also your morals, your moral compass, if you like, your behaviors. Everything that's going to come out of you will affect your image and reputation. And it sticks with you, so you have to be very careful. Look what Ralph Marston says here. Excellence is not a skill, it's an attitude. So this is what I mean by ethical practice, like committing to this practice. So the fourth point here, the fourth responsibility is to professionalism, to observe accuracy in representing qualifications and services. So you have to be accurate, you have to be transparent from the get-go, from the chemistry session. When you first meet your clients, you have to be super, super clear. And you don't leave any space for speculation. And this is why you're able to establish clear and appropriate boundaries from the beginning. So I've had clients who did achieve the goals that they set for themselves. And so one time the client came to me and said, you helped me, although I've been to other coaches, but they couldn't help me. And when I asked why, that person said, it's because they allowed me to do whatever I wanted to do. Whereas with you, I knew I needed to just stick to it and to do what I'm supposed to do. Otherwise, you will stop seeing me. So I wondered where he had heard this about me. And then I realized that this person was referred to me by someone else who told him that piece of information. So look what a good reputation does. What you do with one person travels around, and then they start promoting for you. And the fourth responsibility is to society. So upholding principles of non-discrimination, respecting cultural differences, and contributing positively to societal well-being. So you have a larger goal. You're not just doing it to earn money. You're not just coaching to become popular. You're not just doing it to have people like worship your wisdom or whatever. You do it to really contribute to society. And we do need coaching these days. Our lives are very fast-paced. The heavy negative news coming to us in real life or on the media, they really take their toll on us. So we need to really seek the help of coaches, even as coaches. So clients need that, but also coaches need that too. All right. So integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. C.S. Lewis. I love those quotes. They really explain so much in such brief words or few words. What is right is not always popular, and what is popular is not always right, right? So I don't need to copy other people. I have a responsibility toward this industry and the coaching community. Look at this one. Good ethics is good business, and ethics is its own reward. This is what you get. You get people who deal with you ethically. So you dealt with them ethically, then by exchange, you get that back, and it becomes your reward. So the ICF has put together the purpose of the ICF, the code of ethics is to uphold the integrity. As you notice, the word integrity keeps coming up. It's choosing to do the right thing, instead of having someone supervise you and tell you what's right and what's wrong, and etc. Setting standards of conduct consistent with ICF core values and ethical principles, guiding ethical reflection, education, and decision-making, providing the basis for ICF ethics training in ICF accredited programs. So as you can see, the ICF is trying to organize activity among coaches and people who wish to become coaches, students, in other words, of different coaching programs. So all that needs to happen within a context of ethics. All right. So I hope I've made the case. I've proven the importance of ethical practice on your future reputation and your business. So the ICF Code of Ethics articulates the ethical obligations. So these are not options, they are obligations of ICF professionals who are acting in their different roles. And look what roles these are: coach, coach supervisor, mentor, trainer, or student. So, it doesn't matter what you do or where you work. You could be part of the ICF staff. You always need to abide by the ICF Code of Ethics. It's not optional. Now, we're bound to come across challenges when we're working with our clients, when we're working as coaches. So it's inevitable. It will happen. So it's not something that we can control. It does happen. So we can't control the situations that can arise, but we can control how we deal with them. This is the power of choice that you have. So this is where we refer to the ICF Code of Ethics. And so any ICF professional who accepts the Code of Ethics strives to be ethical at all times, even when this entails making difficult decisions or acting courageously. So, what is required for us to uphold ethics in our practice? Regular training. So, say, for example, if you're someone who keeps gossiping, you might want to practice not doing that. If you gossip about your clients, this is detrimental to your reputation. It will just destroy your reputation. If you keep talking about yourself, like, I do this, I do that, this also destroys your reputation, because your reputation should speak for what you do with your clients. So in other words, it's what the clients say about you that matters, not what you say about yourself, because anyone can say anything about themselves. I can say, I'm the queen of coaching or whatever, but am I really? That's the difference. So it's best that you focus on forging a positive impression in your market instead of, appearing in ads and saying things. This is my personal opinion, and doing a lot of hard selling. You don't need to do that. It's just, in my opinion, it's wasted money. Also, make sure that the contracts that you share with your clients are super clear, super comprehensive. Don't surprise them at any moment. Also, supervision, peer consultation to encourage regular discussions with peers and maintain high ethical standards. So sometimes you might need to engage with communities of practice. You might want to ask, you might need coaching. So, keep interacting, keep growing. So look what it says here. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So build ethical habits when dealing with your clients. Now, what are the benefits of doing that? Trust and credibility. So you build trust with your clients, and this is eternal. It's not going to change unless they get disappointed in something that you do later that really breaches that trust. And the cost of that is very expensive. It's costly, because if that happens, it's going to cost you a lot of time and effort, and probably refunding the client to just retrieve that trust they once had in you, or the positive reputation you might have had. Sustainable reputation, as I said, legal and regulatory compliance. So this lowers the risk of you getting into legal cases with your clients. Now, what are the advantages, further advantages to abiding by ethical practice? Let's contemplate these. So building trust with the clients. The advantage is that you build a relationship of trust. So what's the impact of that on your reputation? Trust is a critical component in retaining and attracting clients. So you're not just attracting clients, you're retaining them. They keep coming back. They become recurrent clients. So this is really good for your business, because now they're retainers. They're going to keep coming back, and they're going to spread positive word of mouth about you, which helps create long-lasting positive relationships. The other one is enhancing professional credibility. As I said earlier, your commitment to professionalism sets you apart from your competitors. So your competitors can say whatever they want about themselves. What you do is what matters. People watch what you do, not what you say about yourself. What's the impact of that on your reputation? Professional credibility attracts not only more clients, but also potential partnerships and collaborations. So business-wise, you're going to attract more people who would want to work with you, because you keep coming across as someone who's super professional. And, they would want, who doesn't want to work with someone like that, right? Reducing legal risks. So what's the advantage of that? the more you abide by the ICF Code of Ethics and the legal matters, and it differs from one country to another. So my tip to you is to always run your contract by a lawyer. If you come from a country and you work in a different country, like you're an expat, you need to run your contract by an international lawyer who understand, different regulations around the world or in the markets that you're operating. So it just reduces risks and creates a clean legal record that enhances your marketability, and reduces the financial and reputational costs. So business-wise, this is absolutely significant. Creating a positive work environment. So the more you respect your clients and establish this culture of ethics and positivity and caring about your client's best interest, then what's the impact of that? It makes your clients want to come to you. Your sessions or your workshops or whatever you're doing becomes a desirable place for your clients. And also, those clients might want to work with you more and to continue trusting you more, continue to seek your support more, and attracting more of these clients. In other words, you start generating leads based on your standards and the type you attract the type of clients that you wish to attract. Sorry about that. Long-term sustainability. When your business is built on a solid and sustainable foundation, what's the effect of that? It encourages longer relationships with clients and, sustains more or less, I know we're freelancers, but, it contributes to you sustaining a continuous stream of business through economic cycles and changing market conditions. So say, for example, when COVID happened, the coaches that I was mentoring were complaining that they didn't have work, that, they were out of work. It was hard for them to meet with their clients. Not all of their clients liked Zoom. They were not familiar with Zoom. This is when COVID first started. So it was like, it doesn't have to be this way. It's an attitude. It's a mindset. It's what you choose to believe, right? So, for example, during COVID, I had a lot of clients. As a matter of fact, more clients than those that I would have outside of COVID. So it doesn't have to do with, market change should not affect your business. If you build a solid, long-term, positive reputation, then whatever happens in the market around you or in the world around you, you're not affected. As simple as that. Attracting ethically conscious clients. So if you were struggling at the beginning of your journey, attracting the right clients, then when you're consistent, you'll start attracting more and more and more clients who are ethically aligned with you. So this means less legal risks, less trouble, more chemistry, more work. So as you can see, there are so many advantages, business advantages to building an ethical practice. Number 7, contributing to the profession's body of knowledge, So your ethical practice contribute to the profession's body of knowledge. This is something that you can also share, in the form of an article. You can publish articles with the ICF or on your website, blog, social media accounts, etc. So you can promote better for the coaching industry instead of, when I first started, the reputation of a coach was really negative. Like, people could not tell the difference between a good coach or a fake coach or someone who claimed to be so successful, but in reality, they were unethical. So, I came across this, and so what I did was, I wrote about this, I spoke about this, I created awareness, I explained to the potential market that I had at the time, you know, the differences between someone who's ethical, someone who's not, someone who's accredited, someone who's not, you know, share awareness, build awareness, you know, and then when you gather some experiences that are really useful, you can write an article and publish it at the coaching blog, the ICF coaching blog. All right. So before we get to dilemmas and solutions, anyone has anything to add or say? No? All right. Let's workshop some dilemmas. All right. So, dilemma number 1, confidentiality versus potential harm. So, ethical dilemmas are defined as situations where you find yourself confused. You don't know what to do because being ethical, and this is why I was saying that we're bound to come across situations like that. So let's have a look at the different dilemmas that are brought for you. So confidentiality versus potential harm. Scenario: a life coach learns during a session that their client is engaging in unethical business practices that could potentially harm many people financially. The coach is bound by confidentiality under the coaching agreement, but faces a moral dilemma about whether to report this behavior or prevent harm. You see, this is an ethical dilemma. You have guaranteed confidentiality for your client, but you discovered that your client is doing something unethical that is harming other people. What do? So the ethical issue here tests the limits of confidentiality, which is a core component of most coaching ethics codes. So the coach must decide between protecting the client's confidentiality and preventing broader harm. Say if your client is abusing someone, for example, what do? Abusing a minor, what do? Right? So there's an ethical dilemma. You're not supposed to share what happens in the session, but at the same time, you can't just sit still and not prevent harm, right? So this is what I mean by dilemma. Let's have a look at what we can do if we refer back to the ICF Code of Ethics or Conduct. So in coaching, maintaining confidentiality is crucial for building trust. However, the ICF Code of Ethics provides guidance on conditions under which confidentiality might not be maintained. So meanwhile, we are obliged to hold responsibility toward our clients and to keep everything that they say confidential. This has limits, such as illegal activities or when there is a risk of danger to others. If you don't wish to report anything, just discontinue seeing that client. And so you don't tell them the real reason. You just tell them, you know what, I just discovered that, you know, I can't help you, you know, with the type of competencies that I have, and you know, I hold your best interests at heart, and you know, I would like to invite you to seek the help of a different coach. So this is the simplest thing that you can do when you feel that you're in clash with what you're supposed to be doing. Yes, Nancy.
So does it help to add this somewhere in the contract at the beginning that, yes, I will hold you accountable or confidentiality unless blah, blah, blah happens?
Of course, definitely. I think most coaches have forgotten to use that. Like if you Google coaching contract, ICF coaching contracts, or any type of coaching contract, like executive coaching contract samples, etc., they barely mention this, but we should be mentioning this. We should be referring to it.
Yeah.
We should be handing a copy of the ICF Code of Ethics along with our contracts for the client to read. And then when they approve of that, they sign that, then they are obliged to commit to that. So
that's,
in the
I'm gonna
future,
update my process now. Thank you.
there you go. You're welcome. Yeah, so you can always refer to it, but you don't have to be so confrontational if that person is dangerous. So this dilemma, it says here, can be used to discuss the nuances of these exceptions and the importance of having clear terms in the coaching agreement regarding confidentiality. So we are not passive, right? So as coaches, we're equal, we're partners. We're not lower than the client, we're not higher than the client, we're equals. All right. So I'm going to cruise very quickly through those the other dilemmas. Just to give you an example, you know, what made me choose this topic today? Conflict of interest, big one. So, you know, if you're after the money, that you won't care about this. But if you care about coming across as someone who's professional and ethical, then you have to differentiate between, you know, whether you should accept this client or not, if it consists of conflict of interest. So this scenario says a coach is offered a lucrative opportunity to work with a business that is a direct competitor of one of the current clients. Accepting this new client could provide financial benefits, but might compromise the coach's objectivity and confidentiality commitments to the existing client. So what's the ethical dilemma here? It presents a classic conflict of interest, where the coach's personal interest in gaining new clients might conflict with their duty to an existing client. Don't engage in that. So what's the solution? Let's go back to the ICF Code of Ethics. So the code stresses the importance of managing conflicts of interest to uphold the integrity of the coaching relationship. This case can highlight how coaches should navigate potential conflicts of interest, emphasizing the need for transparency and the management of expectations through clear agreements. Dilemma number 3. A coach is considering entering a business venture with one of their clients. This could affect the coach's ability to remain impartial and may influence their coaching advice. So the dilemma here is dual or multiple relationships can blur the boundaries between professional and personal interests, potentially leading to bias or reduced effectiveness of the coaching. So what do? Dual relationships are a significant ethical issue. It's a dilemma in coaching. So the Code of Ethics advises coaches to be aware of the implications of multiple contracts and relationships with the same client and to avoid conflict of interest. This scenario can be used to explore how dual relationships can impact trust and potential integrity. So we're bound to get in one of those dilemmas. So this is why I'm giving you examples here. Another example, during a coaching session, a client discusses strategies that involve lying to stakeholders about the financial health of their company. The coach faces a dilemma about whether to confront the client about their unethical practices or report them to a regulatory body. So the coach must decide to handle knowledge of unethical information, balancing their role as a supporter and their ethical obligations toward the broader stakeholder interests. So this scenario touches on the coach's responsibility to promote ethical practices and hold clients accountable to ethical standards. It raises questions about the client's duty to intervene or escalate concerns when aware of unethical behavior. So the conclusion. Adhering to ethical practices in coaching not only secures immediate business advantages, such as a client's level of trust in you or a reduced legal risks, but also has a profound and long-lasting impact on your reputation in the future. So these ethical foundations positions us for sustained success, making our practice a benchmark for professionalism and integrity in the coaching community. So I'm done here. I just want to show you some references if you guys like reading books. So there's this book called Law and Ethics in Coaching. As I mentioned at the very beginning, you know, it's very rare that I've come across people who talk about ethics and observing ethics or having an ethical practice in their coaching business. The other one is The Trust Edge by David Horsager. And also, of course, there are organizations such as the ICF, there's the ECI, Ethics and Compliance Initiative. I put all the websites here for your reference. The Business Ethics Network, the Institute of Business Ethics, which does courses on ethics and ethical behaviors in different intricate situations and details and nuances. So basically, we've reached the end of today's webinar, and I'm open for questions. If you guys have any questions, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Meanwhile, I'm just gonna post in the chat box the registration. So please make sure to use your email, the one that you use for Zoom as well. Okay, thank you. Okay, now I'll go ahead.
Thank you so much, Razan, for this wonderful discussion. And I guess it sets the tone for all of us to make sure that we abide by the ethics. And the way I imagine these things, as if we have three colors, the black, the white, and the gray. And they're all equal, at least for now. So the white is what's acceptable in any profession, okay? The black is the unacceptable. And the gray is where things kind of in between. And I find that the more we put in the gray, the more we stretch it. And the more we make exceptions, the more it becomes difficult to basically put a situation into the white or the black. There's something I just wanted to share with you and everyone else. Thank you so much for this wonderful discussion.
I'm so glad to hear that you found this webinar useful. And thank you so much for this analogy. Absolutely. You find that the middle gray strand becoming the largest, really, because it's very easy to tell when things are black or white. But it's, the murky grounds that you could find yourself on is what's confusing. And that's why the ICF always enriches the code of ethics. If you read like the first version of that and then the following versions, you're going to see that the code of ethics has increased because the coaching community has also become larger, and there are more coaches and more countries engaging in coaching nowadays. So absolutely, yeah. So you can say that today's topic is suitable for the gray strand, so what to do when you find yourself there. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My pleasure. All right. So anyone else would like to share anything, your observations, what you take away from today, for example?
Yeah, can I pitch in? Yeah.
Of course.
Hi. Thank you very much. It's amazing, really. And I didn't even feel like the time. I want more of what I'm hearing. So thank you very much. I have a question. So some countries, of course, they enforce the bylaw that we should have a contract, and it's always good for both parties, definitely. However, there are countries like Jordan, okay? It's a free zone. We do whatever we want.
Yeah.
So I would like, because it's a protection for both parties as well. And it's not in the culture to have as well the contract with all the disclaimers. And the client, they don't even read, even if we give them. So what advice would you give coaches in order, to work in Jordan with Jordanians? Because if we want to work with international, I think we should have a contract with a disclaimer and everything. But within local community, what would you say about that?
Yes. So it's not just
Thank you.
Jordan. Many countries around the world have not caught up legally in terms of the legal regulations. However, we do have a good, flexible, solid set of laws here in Jordan that govern freelancing and the best interests of the clients, etc. Now, the main thing that you need to worry about is the clarity and the comprehensiveness of your contract. And you discuss different clauses of your contract in advance with your clients. So in any country, not just in Jordan, any piece of paper that has two signatures where things are laid down very clearly, even if the client does not read, it's not your responsibility. This is the least thing that the client can feel responsible for. In coaching, we don't do the work for the clients. And so the least thing you can do is just to secure your business with a piece of paper with dual signatures. Make sure that you do like point at certain policies or clauses, important ones that the client needs to be aware of. And then give them time to go away, read, and then if they sign it and send it over to you, you're protected.
Okay, lovely, lovely. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure. Tina?
Hi, thank you so much. This is very, very, very good. I think also to give us a refresher and keep us on point. I want to share something that happened with me. It might help other people, but I'm a by the book person. So I make sure that I'm ethically doing my job and everything. So once I was referred, I'm a life coach for kids, by the way. So there was a kid referred to me by a counselor at the school I used to work at. So the parents know that I know the counselor and things like that. So I passed by the school one day and I saw the counselor and I was like, oh, by the way, I started coaching so-and-so. Nothing else. I didn't open any other subjects. I didn't tell her any details or anything. So when I mentioned it to the mom, she was not happy. So they're Americans also. So when I mentioned it to the mom, just in passing, I mentioned it. Oh, I saw a counselor. So I didn't think I did anything wrong. So she met with me. She asked for a meeting, and we met and we talked. So I think also going back to the gray, like sometimes we don't know like what's okay and what's not okay. I didn't think I did anything wrong, but how can we protect ourselves from that too?
Yeah. Well, unintentionally, you've breached the code of ethics. You're not supposed to mention your clients, their names, what schools they go to, or anything that could have them identified by other people. So thank you for sharing that. It takes a lot of courage to share that with all of us. I really appreciate it. But this is a clear example to what I was talking about. It's inevitable. We are bound to fall into situations like that, but we learn as we go. Of course, this damaged your relationship with your clients, parents, but in the future, you want to completely refrain from mentioning your client, what you're doing with your client, the name of your client, etc. You don't need to talk about this. So, like, for example, one time I was coaching two sisters, and neither of them knew that I was coaching, you know, the other sister. And so later when they were chatting, they discovered that I was their coach. And so they came back to me. They were angry. And then I was like, why are you angry? You know, I promise confidentiality, and this is what you got. And they were like, you know what? You're right. They flipped their perspective there. They were like, wow, you know, even we're sisters. You did not mention, you know, either of them, you know, but I did not know they were sisters. Later when I knew, I just continued. I kept everything confidential. So you want to avoid talking about your clients at all.
I learned my lesson.
Very
but
good.
I wouldn't have mentioned anything if it like the kid didn't come from her. Like the counselor recommended me because she knows me from, like I wouldn't have mentioned anything. But yeah.
Yeah,
I learned my lesson the hard way.
Yes, it is tricky, but does happen. So, you know, once you start meeting a client, don't talk about them to anyone, even the person who referred that person to you.
And you know, the hard way, that's the one that sticks the most.
Exactly, exactly. And also it came with you came from good intention, from good intent. You did not mean to hurt anyone or, you know, to gossip about that child. But, you know, this is exactly why we have ethics, you know, and we abide by them. It's tempting sometimes to talk about clients, but we're not supposed to do that. But thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Awesome. So we are at the top of the hour. Do you guys have further questions or anything else to add? And thank you so much for your positive remarks in the chat box. No, I think everyone is complete.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And thank you, Razan. This has, as always, been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Awesome. So glad to
Have
hear
a good
that. Bye,
evening or a good
everyone.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye.